Hello, passengers, and welcome to the Midnight Train, America's second favorite podcast, where we bring the dark to light, where history never dies, and where listener discretion, it's probably advised. We dive into, make fun of, and joke about the creepy and unsolved mysteries of the world, all while attempting to bring you as much information on each topic as possible. Yeah, we are kind of a comedy podcast thing. But we do talk about some pretty dark, topics from time to time. So it can get kind of messy, But if you're not into that, listen, no hard feelings. It's all good. But if you are, thanks for being just as twisted and messed up as we are and giving us a chance. And welcome aboard. I am your host, the conductor of the cryptic, Jonathan Sayer. And with me, of course, it's the one, the only. It's Mr. Moody. So ahead of time, before we started, Moody's messing around with his microphone, and so he lives probably 45 minutes to an hour away from me.
Yeah, about 45 minutes. Yeah.
So we do things through the interwebs because we have that capability now. And
yes.
So as he's messing with his microphone, he's just go ahead and give them a demonstration. Every time he exhales strongly, it sounds like a wind tunnel. So when you guys hear that throughout the show, that is what's going on with Moody.
I will do my best to keep
not breathe.
Nose wind out of the way.
Do your best to not breathe. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Right. All right. Listen, this is going to be a great episode. I'm super excited about this one because it's going to lend a hand to a bonus episode that's kind of congruent with the entire thing, and it's crazy. It's crazy. I've actually watched numerous documentaries about this, so I'm excited. So I hope you guys are excited because
did you have anything to add to it?
No, I did not. Because you did. It's pretty thorough. I dig it.
Okay,
I dig it.
Good.
I dig it. I mean, as we go, I'm sure that I'll have things to add because
Sure.
I've listened to many podcasts and also, like I said, documentaries pertaining to it. So, listen, for our Patreon, we just discussed the celebrities that have killed people. So an entire list of people that we still watch in theaters and sports and stuff who have actually killed somebody.
Okay.
So,
who give me some highlights.
Well, I did not know. Well, there's a lot of them that I didn't know. Obviously, you've got your what's the guy's name? The dude that used to the Olympic with his legs that were cut off. Pastorius. Yeah, Pastorius.
Yeah.
Like we know him,
Yeah.
But did you know that
his wife or whatever, girlfriend?
The R&B singer from the late 90s, early 2000s, remember Brandy?
Yeah.
She killed a guy.
What?
Yeah. Most of it is like traffic accidents, like automobile accidents.
Drunk driving or hit and run kind of shit.
It is. I'm going to say out of all the ones that I touched, 90% of them were from car accidents.
Really?
Yes.
That makes sense, I guess, though, because celebrities drive like assholes.
Well, I mean, like fucking, what's his nuts?
Half the time they don't even have to drive around. They just have someone do it for them. So then when they get in the car, it's just like, I'm an idiot.
Vince Neil killed somebody.
No, Vince Neil's an idiot.
That's true. That is true. Anyway, if you want to listen to that, do us a favor. Sign up for our Patreon over at patreon.com/The Midnight Train Podcast, or go to themidnighttrainpodcast.com and click on the Patreon button and sign up for that. Get the bonuses and support the show. It's like $5 a month to get those. And yeah, they're pretty awesome. It's a little more, off the cuff. We kind of do like some weird shit. So, not that what we do isn't weird enough, but we do some weird stuff. So that's what we do there. So, all right. Enough of that bullshit. All right. And right now, new people are going, man, they cuss a lot.
Fuck them.
Yes. Again, this is an adult show. So hopefully you have recognized that from our descriptions in the notes and whatnot. So we're going to save the rest of the business. It's going to be the whole show. Save the rest of the business stuff until the end. So we're just going to jump into this. Let's turn down the lights, adjust our seats, grab a drink. I got one. And let's get, there's no other word other than Attica.
Yeah.
But first, here's a toast to all you beautiful motherfuckers.
What you drinking?
I have a Brewdog NA.
Are you drinking non-alcoholics, bro?
Well, I am, only because I'm drinking bourbon in this hand.
Hey, good. That's good.
That's how I work.
I like it. I like it.
Sounds like a drill. Yes.
For some reason, every time I talk, it like totally cuts your whatever's going on your end out. Like if you're talking and then like I say something, like your whole conversation on my end, like just
that means your
out.
gain's probably a little bit higher than normal or should be.
Well, I don't know. I didn't touch anything.
I mean, that's all right. It's all right, bro. It's cool. Just
is it though?
Just don't do the. See, mine doesn't even. Mine's. I have a pussy breath as opposed to yours. Yours sounds like Viking breath.
Because I'm a fucking man, dude.
Oh, like yeah, that's true. You do have a bigger beard than I do. Anyway, so moving on, we're talking about Attica and some other notorious prison riots. Okay, so now prisons are first and foremost. Moody, have you ever been to prison?
I've been to jail, not prison.
Okay, same, ditto. Yes, you're listening to a couple of criminals, folks. I mean, it is what it is.
It's not as exciting as you think.
It is not. It's so stupid. And very short stint for me. Very, 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 very short. Like over the weekend, kind of dumb shit for me.
I got to spend 7 hours in Central Holding in New Orleans, though. That was a fucking treat.
Ooh, how ugly was that?
It wasn't great, dude. It wasn't great.
Yeah, I was in Lorain County here in Ohio.
Not much better.
I can't imagine it being a whole lot better. Yeah. I probably would have preferred New Orleans, to be honest with you.
So in New Orleans and Central Holding, they have I got taken in for some traffic shit that I never paid, and I got pulled over, and I had a warrant, which is the story of my life, but at any rate, and they took me in, and it's like this huge fucking building, and there's these two big giant holding cells, which everyone is in, right? So I'm like sitting there, this is funny. But I'm sitting there and like I'm talking to the guy who's booking me in or whatever, and there's this dude like hollering. He's all drunk. He's like, I need my CPAP machine. If I fall asleep in here and you don't give it to me, I'm gonna die and blah blah blah. And like they're just like, well, shut the fuck up, dude. the guy's like laughing and he looks at me. He's like, you know what the funny thing is? And I'm like, what? He's like, that guy could have been out of here 2 hours ago, but he hasn't shut up, so we're not letting him out.
They're just holding him to be a dick. Yes. That's hilarious.
Because he was being an asshole. He's like, so we just haven't let him out yet.
That's hilarious.
But there were several people in there, and I don't know why they were in there. I don't know if they were being held there until they were being moved, but like straight up prison oranges. Fucking the one dude was in there for. Yeah,
they were probably being moved to a different place. He was in there
for like, so I'm sitting in this holding cell.
And you don't know what they've done either. You know what I mean? Like they could be. They could be pedos. They could be murderers.
The one dude I know was in there because he killed somebody. I don't know the circumstances behind it, but I'm sitting there for some traffic bullshit. And there's a dude in like prison oranges, like fucking shackles and everything, talking about how he killed some dude. I'm just like, All right.
Can I go home now? Can I go home?
Just let me
be great.
Get out of here.
Thanks.
I didn't do anything wrong. I fucking didn't pay a ticket. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Well, prisons are kind of a touchy subject here in the U.S. and, well, around the world as well. Some argue the merits of locking people up for what could be considered minor offenses, saying that there is no effort to reform these people. Okay. So, and of course, we have especially privatized and stuff like that. I mean,
privatization of prisons is not a good thing.
Well, we are not going to. I was going to say we're not going to put our foot in there, but you just did.
Nope.
So that's fine.
No, that's all I'm saying about it.
It's not fun. So some fight for better living conditions in prisons all around the globe. Some countries, the prisons are considered literal hells on earth. the thing with prisons is that when you have that many people who, crammed into overcrowded facilities with poor living conditions, guards that are oftentimes brutal and sadistic, and many violent inmates, well, things can get a little bad. We'll just say bad, right?
Yeah.
Not good. Not good. So today we're going to talk about some infamous prison riots, including the most deadly prison riot in the U.S. history, and that would be Attica. And I'm sure you guys have heard that term or someone chanting that or whatever. So this is going to get a little bit nuts, folks. But now there are also, just to be on the other side of this, there are also a lot of countries that their prisons are, it's basically going
nicer than my fucking house.
Correct. It's like, it's a Club Med. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're going to places that, like, if you want to watch a great show, I'm good, man. Thanks, No, I'm trying to think of the show. It's on Netflix. And what the hell is it called? I'll think about it as we go through this. But anyway, this guy who is a former convict who was he was wrongfully charged and actually went to prison. He got out, and then he's like hosting this show where he goes to all I think it's the world's most dangerous prisons. I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
So he goes to some of these places that are just super fucked up. Like holy shit fucked up. I'm talking like Bangkok and all these different places. But then he goes to like this place over in the Netherlands where it's like it's an apartment complex where people can leave. A murderer can leave and go to work and then come back at his own leisure.
Hey, well,
I get it, but I guess they have a way better reform rate than we do. So,
I'm sure they do if they don't treat them like absolute fucking dog shit.
And that's kind of the thing, like maybe
most places don't have like mandatory life sentences and shit, like for murdering and whatever. A lot of places, like you fucking murder somebody, you could be out in 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, I think the average is 20 to 25,
which is
average,
nuts
globally. Yeah.
To me, that's nuts.
It is crazy.
If you fucking murder somebody and they're like, well, you're going to have to spend 20 years in prison, but you'll be out. And I'd be like, oh, okay, let's fucking do that.
Yeah, I think that's now listen, there are some countries where you're just done.
Well, they'll throw you in prison and basically forget about it.
If not, just take you out back and put a couple holes in you. You know what I mean?
Oops.
It kind of happens. So as we mentioned, Attica prison riot was the most deadly prison riot in U.S. history. Now, there are a lot of other ones as well, too, and it's kind of nuts. The cause of most of the death and destruction may not be what you guys think, though. Those familiar with this riot probably understand what we're talking about here. So according to Britannica.com, Attica Correctional Facility Prison in Attica, it's New York City, or not New York City, New York State here in the United States, by the way.
New York City.
New York City.
Damn it. Gets all over my bullets and everything.
Does it happen every episode now? Is it?
It's been almost every episode.
Can we steal that for a shirt?
Maybe.
We should do that. Anyway, so it was constructed in 1931. It was the most expensive penal facility, and just the word penal, like, come on. Of its day. Okay. So brief sidebar here. And we were wondering exactly what a big house prison actually was. Okay. So most of us use the term interchangeably with jail or prison, right? They got shipped up to the big house. See? But apparently big house referred to a particular type of prison. Okay. So Moody here did a little digging and found an article from the Washington Post explaining what a big house prison actually was. In the, quote, big house prisons, the prisoners, mostly white. Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't worry. The episode gets better.
Oh, boy.
You're going to have a lot of fun later.
Lived according to the convict code. And that's a quote, quote. Primarily, this meant not informing on other prisoners. Quote, doing your own time and not talking to guards. So basically, you went in there, you shut up, you did your time, and you were in and out, right? Is that what I'm gathering from that? Okay.
Essentially, yeah. Basically, everyone just kind of was like, don't fuck with me. I won't fuck with you. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's kind of how it should be. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Hey, we're both in here. We're both serving time. How about we just leave each other alone?
Get the fuck
out. Then there's the right guys who are the prison leaders. Okay. They taught and enforced the code. A few prisoners carried on illegal activities like making pruno, Oh, a nasty tasting prison brew that's probably made in the toilet, if I'm not mistaken.
Toilet.
Right? Yeah. And got involved in prison sex. That's a Tool song. It is. A peculiar sexual world with jockers, who are the masculine partners in prison, the punks, who were prison-made homosexuals, and the queens, who were self-admitted homosexuals. Prison-made homosexuals.
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God, this is going to be such a terrifying episode. Terrifying.
Yeah, it won't be as bad as you think.
So, quote, most prisoners stayed close to a few prison friends, worked at their job assignments, took up hobbies, played sports, read, and tried to stay out of trouble. That's good. That's what they should do.
Yeah, right.
Administrators ran the, quote, big house with one overriding concern: to keep the place running smoothly and out of the public's attention.
Nah, keep your nose clean, see?
Yeah, see? Get in there. The whole episode, right? Guards kept the peace by striking a bargain with the convicts. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
I like that. Quote, don't get too far out of the line and I won't bother you. But if you cause me any trouble, I'll bust you, see?
We'll start busting heads, see?
Right in the jib, see? So by and large, the big house was a mean and monotonous place, but peaceful. Okay. So, I mean, but if you think about that, if you're going into a place and you know that the authority there can literally just beat the shit out of you at any point in time.
Yeah.
Maybe be cool. Be cool. Do your time, man. You messed up. Do your time. Andy Dufresne. Do your time. They're not going to mess with you. You don't mess with them. Cool. Right?
Right.
It seems to be what would happening, but so contrary to popular belief, most prisoners didn't learn crime there, okay? But they didn't learn how to live outside either. They learned how to do time, and about half came back to serve more. And that's an end quote. So that whole thing was a quote from this guy.
Yeah, I was talking about the quote unquote big house, the big house prisons. And it goes into, the article goes into a lot of, I think I even wrote in here about it, but the article goes into a lot of the differences between modern prisons and like big house type prisons. And it gets a little political at a point. So I was like,
yeah.
But
how about
it was still a pretty good read though.
Listen, passengers, and I'm gonna say this to you because I think that the people listening to our voices at this current time, that they're not going to do anything to be sent to prison. But but if I have to say it, the best way to avoid going to prison, don't fuck up. That's it. There you go. Here it is. Right? We're done. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Just don't fuck up. Don't do stupid shit. Right? Right? No? Okay. So other big house prisons include Alcatraz. Okay. We all know Alcatraz. Eastern State, Folsom Prison Blues, Sing Sing, and Sing Sing is also in New York, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah.
And San Quentin, which is in California, if I'm not mistaken as well.
Yeah.
There's more info in the article as it relates to constitutions between a big house and modern day prisons. And it's definitely worth you guys, checking that out. But anyway,
there you go. See? There you
we are talking about Attica. Attica. So Attica was known for its harsh conditions and cruel guards. Prisoners were given one roll of toilet paper per month.
Dude, I go through that in a day.
Correct. Yeah. And were subject to a beating if they asked for more.
Please, may I have some more toilet paper? Bitch, shut up.
Goon squads were formed by the guards for the purpose of harassing and beating prisoners. Former inmate Arthur Harrison described this in an interview, quote, they would come in with 4 or 5 guys. They would rush a guy in a cell. You have no way of keeping 4 or 5 guys off of you unless you were Superman or somebody like that. Then they would beat you down, drag you out of the cell, and take you to the box where you would get beaten again. That's your introduction. Yeah. That's your introduction to this place.
Yeah, welcome.
Oh, boy. In response to the cruel treatment endured in prison, Frank Lott, Donald Noble, Carl Jones L., Herbert X. Blyden, and Peter Butler created the Attica Liberation Faction. Their main goal was to teach political education to the other members of the faction, which culminated in the creation of 27 demands written to Commissioner of Corrections Russell Oswald and Governor Nelson Rockefeller. Okay. Rather than meeting their demands, the prison staff retaliated against the organizers. So these guys basically got together, kind of formed a committee while they were in prison.
Right.
And they were like, dude, this is fucked up. We're living in fucked up conditions. We're treated less than human.
Yeah, it was like super overcrowded.
Right.
And there was just like all kinds
and
of
then
shit.
listen, I know there is a lot of that bipartisan kind of thing. Like, well, if you wouldn't have been a criminal, you wouldn't be there. And if you are a horrible criminal, then you deserve that kind of treatment or whatever it is. But let's just kind of like just take this thing as just say like just an average inmate being treated like this.
I would say some of these guys weren't even in there for crazy shit. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I'm
Like,
saying. Yeah.
It is, it's just people get sent to prison for the most random crap anymore.
And some of them are innocent. Let's be honest. I mean, we've talked about it before.
I actually just read a story today about a dude who got released. I think he was in like Chicago. He was in jail for like, I want to say 12 or 13 years now. And he finally got released. They finally like threw everything out and let him go because he was, dude. Oh, so this is the craziest shit too. So they found out that there was a murder like a gas station, and the police pegged this dude, and he was like, I wasn't even there.
They
like,
pegged him?
Well, not like sexually, but
okay. So
they
could have been a story.
I was gonna say fingered. Would that make it any better? But that
Not
would
any better. Nope.
They picked out this guy.
That's better.
I don't know where they got it. Like, I don't know how they got his name or whatever, but he was like, I wasn't even there that night, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we have an eyewitness. And the eyewitness went to court and said, yes, that's him. He picked him out of a lineup, and then he picked him out of again in court. He's like, this is the guy. This is the guy. And then it comes out the fucking eyewitness is legally blind.
What a dick.
Yes.
What a dick.
So after years of like working on this dude's case, like it was
I've
one of
heard
those,
about that. I know that story you're talking about. I've heard about that. We did a bonus episode on people that were, incarcerated and were innocent and were later, found innocent later on.
Yeah.
There's people that have been in prison for 30 some years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, new evidence came forward. And guess what? This guy
they were like, you know what? Maybe we should check that DNA that we got 20 years ago.
Well, what happened with a couple of the cases is
what had happened was
someone, a person, and man, if you listen to the episode and the bonus stuff, folks, and I'm not trying to get everyone, I'm just saying if I had the notes in front of me,
give us your money.
This guy, he was locked up. I think it was 30 some years he was in there. They found out that he was innocent. Of course, they let him go, but they didn't adjudicate him. That he wasn't just what do they call that? What is it called?
They didn't like expunge his
It wasn't expunged at all. And I think they gave him for 30 years in prison. I think they gave him like $15,000 or something like that.
Oh man, I would have been fucking coming back with
some infinitesimal amount. And then when he finally won his battle, his court case or whatever, he passed away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude, it's so fucked. And it happens all the time. Like, listen, we cannot get it right. We cannot. And that's the whole thing between that everyone argues about with when it comes to, killing these guys, or girls. Yeah, we can't get it right. So these people are like, well, how do we know definitively? And again, if it is definitive and we have all the evidence and the guy says, yes, I did it, then my opinion is bye. Okay. Truthfully, that's how I feel. But if there's even an equation of doubt, then of course there should be no death penalty involved. That's just my opinion. Yeah. Anyway, getting off my soapbox now. So shortly after they made this committee here, because obviously the conditions were horrible, in August of 1971, revolutionary and political prisoner George Jackson was murdered by correctional officers at San Quentin Prison. Not good. This sparked protests around the country and mobilized the men in Attica to put aside differences and pay tribute to Jackson's courage and passion. So now what you're doing is there are factions inside prison. You've got your blacks, you've got your whites, you've got your whatever's going on in there. And
Muslims.
now Muslim, whatever the case may be, now all of a sudden these guys are going, man, fuck this. And then
oddly enough, the bonus episode we're going to be doing, this is like a major theme in that episode is how everybody finally was just like, this isn't about me and you.
Correct.
This is about us and them.
And if you think about it, the most dangerous thing, especially when it comes to these prisons, is that typically there's like one guard per 25, 30 prisoners, if not more.
Yeah.
So if they decide to revolt, you're fucked. You are fucked.
There's way, regardless of how it breaks down, there's way more prisoners in these places than
there's way more, guards. And because of funding and everything else, like there's just way more to it. So a hunger strike was called in honor of Jackson just one day after his death. 700 silent prisoners took seats in the mess hall, sporting matching black armbands, and refused to eat. Just a few days later, another protest was held in the sick ward with people occupying hospital beds to dramatize the inadequate health conditions. So everyone's they're kind of coming together, man. They're like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
So the final straw for the men at Attica was the brutalization of 2 prisoners after an altercation between them and correctional officers on September 8th of 1971. The 2 men were taken to Housing Block Z, in an area of the prison where people were routinely assaulted by guards. The next day, the uprising began. So think about that. There was literally a spot in the prison where they would take these guys and just beat the living shit out of them.
Yeah.
And it could be for anything. It could be an infraction. It could be, hey, I just don't like this guy. I just don't like him.
Yeah. I mean, fucking.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much, dude. You look at him wrong, they'll fucking beat you.
I don't like your face. You know what I mean? I just, for some reason,
your face.
I just want, oh, thank you. So a group of around 20 prisoners overpowered 4 guards, locking them in cells and taking control of various cell blocks. So documentary filmmaker Stanley Nelson describes the beginning of the uprising. Quote, Attica was divided into 4 sections, and the hallways all met at this place called Times Square. So Times Square was like the center hub. And when the prisoners started to rebel, started to riot, they started banging on the gate at Times Square, and one of the gates had a faulty weld in the gate. Oh, shit. And the gate came down and broke. And the prisoners seized the guards there at Times Square. And so when then the prisoners controlled the prison, and it happened really quickly. And in some ways, it was really because of this faulty welding job that was done, we think, from the prison, from when the prison was first built. So that's terrifying.
Yeah, shitty weld.
Terrifying.
Do your fucking job, dude.
like you had one job. One job.
Guy, one of the guys who built that place was still alive and was just like, oh shit. Did I do that?
That wasn't
my fault.
Was that our job, Bob? I don't know. I have no idea.
Do you remember where we were welding when we were in that center? I don't. Oh man.
Wait. Hold on. You said weld? Oh, my bad. So members from the ALF drafted a list of 5 demands to be met as preconditions for ending the occupation of the prison. Okay. So these guys are taking this shit over, and they're like, listen, you guys didn't listen to us, so now this is what's happening because you're treating us like shit. Even after the committee came up and they were working together, and they were just like, listen, we just want some civility, like we just want to be treated like human beings.
Toilet paper would be great.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on. So the demands were, we want complete amnesty, meaning freedom from all and any physical, mental, and legal reprisals. In other words, once this is done, leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's over. It's over.
Right. We want immediate, speedy, and safe transportation out of confinement to a non-imperialistic country. Okay, that seems a bit drastic there.
Yeah.
Come on, calm down, guys. We demand that the federal government intervene so that we will be under direct federal jurisdiction. Okay, I get that one.
Because they don't want to be dealing with the same people they've been dealing with.
Right. We want the governor and the judiciary, named Constance B. Motley, to guarantee that there will be no reprisals, and we want all factions of the media to articulate this. So that's one thing they were doing for sure, is they wanted the media involved. They wanted the story out there.
Oh yeah, you'll hear more about that too.
Yeah, where they're talking like the reporters and stuff like that. actually having reporters coming in and like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. But it's only because they wanted to bring attention to what the fuck was happening.
Absolutely. Can't blame them.
Right. And then the last one here, we urgently demand immediate negotiations through William M. Kunstler. What a horrible last name.
Bill Kunstler.
Billy Kunstler. Attorney at law at 588 9th Avenue, New York, New York. Assemblyman Arthur, so these are all negotiations through all these guys. Assemblyman Arthur O. Eve of Buffalo, the Prisoner Solidarity Committee of New York, Minister Farrakhan of the Muslims. We want Huey P. Newton from the Black Panther Party, and we want the chairman of the Young Lords Party. We want Clarence B. Jones of the Amsterdam News. We want Tom Wicker of the New York Times. We want Richard Roth of the Courier Express. We want the Fortune Society, Dave Anderson of the Urban League of Rochester, Brina Eve Barnes. We want Jim Henling of the Democratic Late Chronicle of Detroit, Michigan. We guarantee, period. Okay. We guarantee the safe passage of all people to and from this institution. We invite all the people to come here and witness this degradation so they can better know how to bring this degradation to an end. This is what we want. Okay. So obviously this is a large sect of people.
Yeah.
Okay? Everyone they're asking. You're talking about Black Panthers and you know, from the Muslims and things like that. And they're wanting the recognition, like, come down here and see what we're dealing with, man.
Right.
You know, like they just
want to be heard.
Right. This is
they want to know what the fuck is going on, and they want it to change.
Because unfortunately, what happens is that people think, well, you're a criminal. You did this. You belong in prison. Whatever happens there, that's on you. You know, you're the one that got yourself there. But they're still people. So
I would say to a point, I would agree with that. But at the same time, like, I mean, they're basically being denied basic human needs.
Right,
like,
which is bullshit.
You know what I mean? Like
listen,
it's not.
They shouldn't have fucking Netflix. They shouldn't have, you know, cell phones. They shouldn't have all these things that, you know, a lot of them do happen to wind up with or whatever, because it's prison. I mean, you go there because it's supposed to suck. It's supposed to deter people from going to prison for doing bad things. So when you go there and it's like cushy, it's like, well, what the hell's the point? You know, but you can't take away their, like you said, their basic rights. Like, you can't do that. So prisoners, for the most part, took care to keep things civil, which is awesome. Muslim prisoners kept the guards taken prisoner safe. 42 correctional officers were taken hostage in total. So 42 guards there. These guys are like, no one's going to die. You know, we got you guys good. The inmates set up security detail for the television and need crews.
News.
Oh.
Oops.
And news crews.
Yes.
They invited to keep them safe while also trying to get their plight out for the world to see. During all of this, the hostages were dressed in prisoner clothing. Oh, that's kind of crazy, though. Think about that.
Yeah, they did that on purpose.
Oh, the reasoning behind this was also described by Arthur Harrison. Quote, the point for that was when someone would try to retake the prison with guns, like they did, precursor here, guys, they wouldn't know who the prisoners or which one was a guard, so they would be careful about the shooting. There was a whole point of that. They wouldn't have come in blazing and shooting because they didn't want to kill their comrades. That's crazy. Yeah. But we'll find out that didn't work. Yeah. Yeah, because like we mentioned earlier, and you guys probably understand where we're going with this. Yeah, you'll see. So in an interview with Robert Douglas, he described some of what happened from the other side of the uprising. Robert Douglas served as counsel and later secretary to Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller from 1965 to 1972. At Rockefeller's request, he was sent to Attica during the uprising to represent the governor and to help quell the riot and appease the inmates. He was asked what happened when they got word of the uprising. Oh boy. Quote, I think when Attica broke, I was actually in Albany and governor called me and he had sent Norm Hurd, the budget director, was out there. Why the fuck are you sending that guy?
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
And the commissioner Oswald, who was the head of the correction system, was at Attica and I was in Albany and he asked me to follow it very closely, which I did. And then he felt it was getting worse and he said, would you go up to Attica and be my representative at Attica? And being a lawyer, I think he felt that might be helpful. So I went out to Attica and kept in constant touch with him, and he was right. The situation was deteriorating. The inmates certainly had gripes about conditions in the prison systems, but it's all relative terms. So he paused himself when he said that. It was the number of showers and the amount of fresh fruit you got, and whether or not they had alternatives to pork in the diet. They were not what I would consider the kind of complaints you might get with a laugh from some backward states. Again, he's making light of the situation.
Yeah.
That is not at all what it was like there.
No.
He goes on, but there were complaints, and so the commissioner of corrections went out in the yard to explain that they were invoking some reforms and that he would deliver on his promises. And I thought we were making some headway, and the inmates had something like 24, 25 demands. I'm pretty sure it was like 5, but
no, there was a longer list.
Once so that was like
that was like their initial demands.
Okay.
And then once they took the prison, they decided they basically had a longer list. I think it was like 24, 25. I don't think I included all of them, but you can find the list anywhere. If you look it up, you can find the list of all the demands.
So those demands had to do with conditions in the prison, end quote. So Douglas went on to talk about the negotiations, which this guy already. So quote, on Friday of the uprising, I thought we were making progress. I thought we had closure on all 25 items. And then unfortunately, one of the prison guards died from injuries during the attack, the uprising. That changed the whole picture. Right then and there, the inmates were very smart and they knew that they were an accessory to the crimes committed during the riot. And every one of them probably could have been prosecuted. And then we started a new tack, which is tactic, I guess, right? Which was to negotiate with the district attorney and to assure the inmates there would be no wanton persecution, that whoever was guilty of killing the guard would be certainly prosecuted, but there would be no just general prosecution of everyone. And we worked out an agreement on it, and that was considered by the inmates. And then they came back and they added to their demands, which we had agreed to on Friday. And the 2 additional demands were asylum to a non-imperialistic country, like we talked about earlier, and total amnesty for anything that had happened. Well, 1, we couldn't grant asylum to a non-imperialistic country. I mean, that's kind of, again, that's a little bit overboard.
Yeah.
I had some second thoughts on that. Maybe if I had to do it over again, I could come up with a country who would be happy to have given them asylum. Now, who's going to take a bunch of criminals that just had an uprising?
You'd be surprised, bro.
Apparently. And the other was general amnesty, which the governor had no power to grant. He could grant a pardon, but that's after a conviction. So the answer was really no on both counts. And I had the clear feeling, as we all did, that these were really designed to be a breaking point. They wanted a confrontation. So he's saying they brought us the demands and we're like, we can't do that shit, dude. Like, sorry, we can't. Now, the amnesty, again, I mean, if you think about it, okay, we go to court, we're convicted of a certain crime or whatever, but the governor comes in. If he agreed and says, I'm going to pardon all these guys after the fact, that could have been handled.
Right.
Moving
that would have been the only option for that.
Right. Moving every one of these guys to a quote unquote non-imperialistic country. I mean, like who?
That would take some doing. I don't know.
Like who's going to take? I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody would. I don't know. So the prisoners were also demanding that Governor Rockefeller came down personally to hear their demand and get something done. Rockefeller would not come, though, and this was another issue with the prisoners. Douglas would comment on that as well, which is kind of fucked up.
There's it will actually, the guy that we were just talking about, that kind of sounds like a total tool bag.
Yeah, Douglas, yeah.
He talks about that at the end. It's in there somewhere about why they wouldn't, why Rockefeller wouldn't come down. And like, there's actually like Rockefeller's explanation is in there somewhere.
He's probably scared as shit.
No, it's not that. It's, I guess the explanation makes sense, but at the same time is like, I feel like it's a generalized excuse where like, I feel like you have to take more of a case by case basis for something like that. But you'll see what I'm talking about when he talks about it. But it does make sense But he did have a reasoning for not coming down.
Okay. Well, Douglas says here that, quote, there was a group of people that came in and volunteered to kind of broker peace in the situation. It included Herman Bedio, Bill Kunstler, that guy we talked about earlier with the horrible name. Kunstler, Eldridge Cleaver, and it was quite a collection of people. And they invited me in.
Eldridge Cleaver.
Is
he related to Beaver Cleaver?
I was just going to say that. Damn it. He may have been. Who knows?
Hey, I got a joke for you.
Okay, what is it?
What was the dirtiest thing ever said on television?
I don't know what.
Ward, I think you were a little hard on the beaver last night.
So this guy, Douglas here, goes on to say, and they invited me in and demanded to see the governor. And I said, look, the governor has made it very clear that he's not going to come into a riot situation because you can talk to the governor, you're free to call him, and you can discuss anything you want, but he strongly feels that he should not come into a prison situation where you're holding hostages under threat of death and negotiate because it's not a negotiation. Okay. Quote, well, he's got to come up here. Somehow, something would happen if he comes here. I don't know.
So that's not the reason either, by the way. There's more. He talks about that more later. So
then, quote, yes, I'll tell you what'll happen. He'll be invited to go out to the yard and talk to the prisoners. And if every time there's a prison uprising and they take a hostage and threaten to kill him, unless the governor comes, the governor's going to spend most of his time going to prison riots. So, okay, I kind of get that where they're making a point like, listen, if he comes for you, he's going to come for everybody, and everyone's going to always.
Because then everyone's going to demand that the fucking governor comes and blah, blah, blah.
The governor. So, and well, they agreed with that, but perhaps something would happen if he'd come. He would come. I said, quote, well, this is all his quote, by the way. Well, why don't you call him? And they made their plea that he come up and he said, look, I feel very strongly that I've got good people. I believe in the state police and they're professionally trained. My corrections commissioners considered the best in the country. I've got my counsel up there. I mean, the governor does sound kind of like a wuss, but I get it.
Fucking Rockefeller, bro.
Yeah. So inmate Frank Smith was asked why it was so important to have Rockefeller there. He says, quote, I mean, it wasn't good enough. Not only us, it wasn't good enough for the observers. They felt that Rockefeller should be the person to come in and take charge and really deal with the situation because the faith of his commissioner wasn't any good. So what makes his understudy going to be any better? But now we talk to the governor, the highest executive, then that makes the whole situation more real. Then we don't have to go through understudies. So you say something to them and then they say something to Rockefeller with his hidden agenda, his scheming anyway. He's thinking about another position or thinking about going on with his career, and so he was reaching really all the way to Washington that we found out later, so his concern really wasn't into it. So these guys are thinking the guy's only looking at his political career.
Right. They think that what they're trying to relay to the governor is not getting relayed properly because this guy is trying to make headway for himself in his career. Nice.
I made a spill. Sorry. Right. So this is horrible for any political candidate. This is a horrible thing to happen.
Basically, the prisoners are just like, look, if we can't talk to him directly, like it's not what we really want, and what we're trying to say is not going to make it to him.
It's not going to make any difference. Yeah. Goes on to say, go ahead.
Like a game of telephone, you fucking pass around, and by the time it gets to where it's going, it's something completely different.
Right. They want to go directly to the source.
Right. But except they believe that it's being done maliciously.
So he goes on to say, but then, it's like I said earlier, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. You got to go back to what happened with his daddy. They know how to deal with violence. So that's what they do. They bring it in. They bring in their troopers and say, you get rid of the problem. And that's what happened when he gave it to Oswald. He said, you take care of it. You know what to do. He didn't say, well, you go in there and kill them, but he knew something was going to happen. So now they're basically insinuating that the governor was like, just fix this.
Which is funny because the other guy that was talking said the same thing about the convicts when he was like, we figured these demands were just so we could say no, and they wanted a confrontation.
Right.
So both sides already believe that the other side is going straight towards confrontation.
Right. They both believe that the other side has
a good place to be.
Yeah. They both believe that the other side has malicious intent.
Exactly.
So, and it's caustic. you know? So at this point, the group of negotiators actually, they went into the yard and tried to find some peaceful way of resolving it. And they were threatened. And so they left. This was on Sunday, feeling totally dispirited that this thing had gone downhill to the point where they didn't know what, if anything, could pull it out. Okay, that's from Douglas as well. And the Douglas recalled what happened the rest of the day. Quote, and we spent the rest of Sunday sending messages in saying, look, if you'll release the hostages, everybody will be treated decently and restore order, and there'll be no recriminations. I don't even know that word. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that one either.
Recriminations.
I assume it's just like, you know, there won't be anything further bad that will come. Like no harm kind of will come to you. We won't charge you with more shit, basically. Right. I think is what that seems like.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And we got back no response. And the only response we saw was a building up of the defenses so that any of the entry points into the prison yard were starting to become barricaded with mattresses. They were fashioning weapons. They soaked mattresses in gasoline, and it looked like they were getting ready for some kind of battle, end quote. And they were.
Right.
These guys were prepping up.
Especially if they thought, if the convicts thought for sure that the cops were going to come in and start doing their thing, of course they're going to start getting, you know, they got to prepare. So then they're doing that in preparations of what they think that the police are doing. And then the police see that and they're like, oh shit, they want a fucking war. Let's fucking give them a war.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like they're basically just like feeding each other like negatively, and they don't even realize it's happening that way.
Yeah, it's like a lose-lose situation on both sides. Like either way.
Absolutely.
So next we have descriptions of what happened from both sides as Douglas and Smith both recounted their versions of what happened. So remember, Douglas is on the political side and on the outside. Smith is on the inside with the prisoners.
He was a prisoner.
Right. So Douglas, quote, about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I was on the phone all the time with the governor, and he had talked to me in the correction commission and the head of the state police to get the feel of the situation. And we delivered the message that release the hostages. You won't be harmed. There'll be no, again, recrimination unless you're involved in a crime. And they said they'd give us their answer. That freaking recrimination word. And around 8 o'clock on Monday morning, the answer was no. Just straight up, just no.
I have a feeling it was more like, fuck you.
Yeah. Nah, son. And with that, they positioned several of the guards in highly visible positions on top of the ramparts, and each guard had an executioner assigned to them. So they're saying the prison guards were put out there so the opposition could see them, and they had somebody there who was a quote unquote executioner. Right. So if you come in, I'm going to kill this guy. Good.
Recrimination, if you want the actual definition, is an accusation in response to one from somebody else. So recrimination would be like if you accused me of doing something and I responded with an accusation against you. That's a recrimination.
Okay. All right. We learned something new. All right.
So basically he's saying like, we won't accuse you guys of doing anything else on top of what's already been done, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So basically we're not going to come after anybody. Okay.
Right.
So the guards were blindfolded, and one had a lead pipe ready to hit him over the head. Another one had a knife to their throat. That doesn't look good. Okay. That doesn't look good at all.
No, not at all.
Especially when you're trying to there was no peaceful resolution to this, no matter what happened.
Not at this point, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe early on it could have happened, but definitely not at this point.
Yeah, it's just all bad.
Yeah.
And we had positioned sharpshooters on the roof of the prison, getting ready for an assault if we had to do it. And when they positioned the guards for execution, the correction commissioner got on the phone with the governor. He said, Governor, I've done everything I can. We can't let this go on, and we should go in. The governor said, okay. And he said, we've done it all. Okay, so at this point, they're ready to breach.
Yep.
Okay, they're ready to go in.
They've felt like they've done everything they could do. It's time to go and end this.
And how long was this going on for at this point in time?
Honestly, I want to say the whole thing was only like 4 days.
But still, I mean, that's 4 days of back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just like, we're not getting anywhere. No, they're not giving. They want something ridiculous that we cannot give them. And inside, and that's where I think that they failed. The prisoners failed, is that they were trying to take a bite of something that was just way too big to bite. You know what I mean? Like you were giving and asking to go to a different country and shit like that. No, how about we want better treatment?
Right.
You know what I mean? Sign something in front of us all saying that this is going to be done by the governor. He doesn't have to be here, but sign something.
Yeah.
From the governor saying that we are going to improve conditions in the prison. And I'm sure maybe it would have been, I don't know. I wasn't there, so I have no idea.
It started on the 9th at some point, and then it ended on the 13th. So it was like 5 days.
Okay. So, and with that, a plan that had been laid out over the weekend, which was to send in a helicopter and drop a form of tear gas just prior to the state police coming in. So now this is what they're thinking about doing, or actually doing. And I had met with the state police just before the assault. And I really thought that I wouldn't see some of them again because we had Sam Neville, the mad bomber, these were the most hardened, toughest of New York's criminal inmate population. These guys were there for long sentences, mostly murder, arsons, rapes. These were the worst of the worst. So now, immediately what's happening there is that they're thinking these guys are hardened criminals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So who knows what they're going to do? In fact, we know what they're going to do or what they could do. So let's think the worst.
Right. Exactly. They're preparing for the worst.
Right. And so they were, the state police. The governor made sure that I instructed them. And this is still the, what's his name again? Said his name earlier. Douglas. This is still Douglas.
Douglas. Yeah.
And so they were the state police. The governor made sure that I instructed them that they were not to open fire unless it was to defend themselves or to protect another officer. And they understood that. And these guys knew what they were doing and they were pretty cool.
Bullshit.
These guys are cool, man.
Man, Dave's not here, man.
No, Dave's not here, man. And they started the assault. They went in and they had to get into the yard to get to where the hostages were held. And there was gunfire. It didn't last very long. Within a matter of minutes, the hostages started coming out and we were counting them as they came out. The governor said, "How does it look?" And I said, "Well, we've got so and so many out." And he said, "Well, as soon as we get them all out of there, then it doesn't matter because we can just seal the prison off." So does that seem like the most fortuitous of stances on this?
No, not at all.
It doesn't at all. It actually sounds like, well, I mean, kind of fuck everyone who's in there, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
He goes on, and the gunfire ended very quickly. We got the hostages out, and the initial reaction to the thing was that while it was bloody, it was successful. And I think around 38 people got killed, including some hostages. And even with that, the notion was, look, they had to do it. They went in, they did it, they restored order, end quote. So 38 people.
Yeah.
That's
10 of them were guards.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
They killed 10 of their own because they just went in fucking guns ablazing. They didn't give a fuck.
So that was from Douglas's side. And remember, Douglas is the second hand to the governor at this point in time, right? He's the guy who's kind of like reiterating all the information.
So that's what happened from the outside.
Right. So now Smith, who was on the inside, this is his version. Okay. And as Moody put here so eloquently, there's some language that I am just reading verbatim. So please I don't need any emails or anything like that. It's just verbatim. And I'm going to make sure that you guys hear me specifically when I say, quote, quote. The first thing I seen here was a helicopter circling over the yard, and then gas and then a loudspeaker. Put your hand on your head and you won't be harmed and all that type of stuff. But shooting at the same time, you follow, and everybody hit the ground. I hit the ground over by the observer's table. And then they were coming over the wall, the assault forces coming over the wall, shooting. And eventually I start hearing my name, and then some friends of mine told me I should, take my clothes off because that gas that everybody burning, and what we were doing was putting milk on yourself or ourself. That supposedly, prevented a lot of burns and stuff. So I finally got my clothes off. So it was the tear gas.
Yeah, whatever gas they were dropping.
Yeah. So basically they're saying like, if you take your clothes off, it's not going to stick to your clothes. It's not going to burn as much, and then throw milk on yourself, which I guess would kind of be like a base to an acid, or I guess, or I don't know if that's even
it's just the same
chemistry.
It's the same principle behind drinking milk when you get a hot pepper, dude. It's the same shit.
Yeah, right. He goes on, but they were making people strip anywhere as you come out of D yard and go into A block. And if you fall on your stomach when you go through the door to A block and you had to crawl, and I'm in A block now, and then I hear my name, and the person that I worked for in the laundry said, "Here's Black, here he is." And they made me get up, beat me into the area of the yard, and laid me on the table and put a football under my neck, up under the catwalk, and told me that if I fall, they was going to kill me, and they spit on me and dropped. They dropped on me and went through the torture word, while I was laying there. Quote, N-word, why did you castrate the officers? Why did you bury them alive? We're going to castrate you. And I'm laying on the table, spread eagle, butt naked, but everybody in the yard was naked. The majority of the people, and that went on for like 3, 4, 5 hours. Fuck.
Yeah. So basically they were fucking them up pretty bad. There's some other stories about like what happened to them after they
went in guns blazing. They did not give a shit when they went in there.
No. And then they were making them, from like some of the stuff they made them all strip, and then they were making them like walk around like, just like, I don't know, dude.
Oh yeah, there's video footage if you guys ever want to see that. Like, you can look it up online, or you can find documentaries or whatever, where these like people, these men are coming out of this whole thing, and they're just completely butt naked, like just walking out.
Yeah. And they were basically being forced to like crawl. They said, the one guy said they were like forcing them to crawl through like just like shit and garbage and glass and like all kinds of shit, like on their bellies basically after it happened, and like butt naked the whole time. And it was just, it was a real bad scene because they were criminals, and right. To the people going in there, they were told to do a job. And again, not saying it's right in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it's the opposite of that. But they dehumanized these guys, exactly.
But they were being dehumanized while they were in there, and that's what they were trying to fight against and say, listen, we just want better conditions. And again, they just went too far with it. They went too fucking far. Anyway, so he goes on to say, and right behind me, I'm laying here, and here's the catwalk, and right here's the hallway. They had a gauntlet set up, and it had glass broke on the floor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And they was running everybody through the gauntlet, beating them. They had 20, 30 people each side with what they called their N-word sticks. Damn it. Dude, that's so infuriating to me. That's so infuriating. Like, yep. Again, this was a different time. This is like early 70s. This is it was just it was not a good time at all, especially for like equal rights and shit like that. Like,
they were saying too that part of the reason that a lot of it was so bad was because basically the sentiments inside the prison, like where the prisoners were echoing outside, where the black prisoners, they knew what was going on outside as far as like civil rights and all, like that one dude that got killed in the other prison and whatever because he was black and like all this other stuff. So like that was another boiling point kind of with this whole thing.
Well, it was
just, and then you had also like people trying to help on the outside, like the activists and stuff. And they were saying that basically this whole thing was like a microcosm of like the kind of the civil rights movement at the time of all of that. So
because there was so much racial inequality at the time, but let alone in prison,
right?
In prison, everybody there was looked down upon. It didn't matter if you were black, white, whatever, but if you were black, it was way worse. And then like the Latinos and
gotta think 99.9% of the guards were probably white dudes.
Oh yeah.
And given the climate of the times, they probably weren't, the most savory of people,
correct,
if you will.
Right. So now filmmaker Stanley Nelson, he has a whole little take on this, and it says, quote, "It was really a law enforcement riot. over 500 law enforcement agents, state troopers, and ex-prison guards, whatever, stormed the prison with rifles, shotguns, and they were up on the catwalks, and the first tear gas was shot down on the prisoners. So it was all smoky, and law enforcement really couldn't see anything. They were just firing down randomly at the prisoners. Jesus. Again, I want to reiterate that they couldn't see what they were doing, so they just fired over and over again. There's one New York State surveillance tape of the riot, and it's unbelievable how long they were firing. It's about 9 minutes of straight shooting down into the yard.
That's fucking ridiculous.
9 minutes, folks.
So they were just blindly shooting into the yard.
Yeah. They threw down the gas or whatever the hell they had, and then everyone just started just bucking off shots for 9 minutes. 9
times.
9 times. I was going to do that. I swear to God. 9 times. That's nuts. That's crazy. Like if you were to sit there right now and just go into a room or wherever you're sitting right now and pause this and sit there for 9 minutes, that is a long ass time, especially for just bullets to be flying around.
Imagine just shooting a gun for 9 minutes straight. That's fucking tiring as shit.
And you're definitely going to be reloading numerous times.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is insane. So after the shooting ended, Nelson says that there was a scene of hundreds of dead and wounded lying on the ground, and the law enforcement had completely taken over the prison, but it didn't stop there. Then it just was a scene of various tortures. Super fucked. L.D. Barkley, who was one of the leaders, was sought out and murdered. So one of the leaders of the committee, they actually looked for him, and there he is, and they just ended his life.
Mm-hmm.
The prisoners were made to crawl through the latrines, and they had dug through human waste, which is fantastic. They were told that if they lifted their heads, that they would be killed. Former inmate Arthur Harrison said of the experience, quote, "I've seen people getting shot at before, but not like this. People were laying on top of people and stuff, hollering from the pain of being shot, and they weren't getting no help. What kind of human being does that to another human being? I mean, yeah.
Well, also half the people in there probably did that shit to another human being, but
I mean, yeah, but let's just.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, just because they're in there, and we don't know what everybody was in there for. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we have no idea.
We were talking earlier. It could have been minor drug offense type shit that doesn't even, or whatever, man.
There could have been people in there that were being transferred to another. There could have been people that may have been sent there for holding. You know what I mean?
Maybe for like a week or so until they get fucking moved.
They're getting out. You know what I mean? And then they're just sitting there, and all of a sudden there's uprising happens, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you're getting.
I don't want to be a part of this. Shit,
exactly,
man.
but you're there. So at the end of the siege, the numbers came in. There were 33 inmates were killed. Okay, 85 were wounded. 3 of those inmates were killed by other inmates, which is super fucked. Because that was like retaliation or like gang stuff or whatever it is. Or maybe it was somebody that was like saw a pedo or whatever it is. But yeah, there were a few of those. 10 of the correctional officer hostages were killed with an additional 5 wounded. 1 state trooper was wounded as well. Reports initially came in claiming that the inmates had slit the throats of 10 guards killed. Okay. So now Nelson here, this is the reporter, or the filmmaker, sorry.
Yeah, the guy, yeah.
He says, quote, "The original report was that the hostages had their throats cut, and that part of the reason why that was thought at first was because prisoners brought the guards out into the yard and put knives to their throat, homemade knives to their throat. And they thought that maybe they would stop the assault. It was just a threat. When the attack actually happened, it was found out the next day that no guards had gotten their throats slit at all, and the 10 guards that were killed, well, they were killed by gunfire. I think the medical examiner actually said the truth the next day. But what happened was that the first report on the news was that they had their throats slit. So that was believed. The retraction is not heard in the same way as the first statement. So to this day, some people still believe that the hostages' throats were slit, although no hostages' throats were slit at all." End quote.
So basically, they were basically trying to make it sound worse than it was to justify the action.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, we only killed inmates, man. They killed the guards.
Yeah.
We had to go in there because they killed the guards.
Right. And that's why we did what we had to do, because they had the knives at their throats and whatever. And I could see, again, I'm not justifying anything, but it's an intimidation tactic. Like, we're trying to make our point across. Like, you got a knife to the throat or whatever. That looks bad. That looks super bad.
Sure.
But then when you find out that the 10 guards that were killed were actually killed by, well, quote unquote, friendly fire. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
That looks worse.
Absolutely.
That's way worse. So, in fact, the medical examiner did corroborate that the fact, as Douglas would say later here. Okay, so the medical examiner did actually say this. This is from Douglas, quote, and then the next day, the coroner from, I think, Monroe County said, well, these injuries, even to the hostages, came from ricocheted gunfire. Ricocheted. There you go. Because they were just shooting for 9 minutes fucking straight.
Yeah, dude. Stuff bouncing off of walls and the concrete floors,
Right.
all that shit, man.
And it didn't come from being shot by inmates, because inmates didn't have any fucking guns, or hacked to death, or stabbed. They were really injured in the melee that took place when the state police had to fire within these, I love how you put that in there, had to fire within these confined walls. And then I think the press had already run with the story that it had been successful, that there'd been loss of life, but it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Did it? Did it really?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And then when it turned out that most of the deaths had occurred not at the hands of the inmates, but ricochet fire, there was a sudden 180-degree shift. And all of a sudden, the police had used excessive power. They stripped the inmates down before they let them back into their cells, which they had to do anyway because a lot of them had concealed weapons. There wasn't enough medical care available instantly. Holy shit, let's just convert that.
Yeah, right.
That is, what the fuck? So Douglas also went on to say that Rockefeller never had a regret. That's the governor. And that he always believed they did the right thing, and that Douglas himself has no regrets in his involvement. Oh, that's fun. That's a great sentiment to have.
I don't really care. I'm happy about everything.
Yeah. No, it turned out, it could have been way worse. It could have been way worse.
Quite frankly, it went swimmingly.
Yeah. Quote, but he never had any regrets about his decision not to go there. He honestly believed that was not the right thing to do, that you can't let somebody take a hostage under threat of death and stop all government and bring it to its knees. And I believe that as well. So I've never had any regrets about involvement in it. I feel sorry about the people who lost their lives, obviously. I love how he says that too.
Yeah, do you though, really, dude?
I mean, I feel sorry about him, obviously. Like, obviously. Obviously. So in the aftermath of the uprising, members of the NYU law community took leading roles in addressing injustices perpetrated at Attica. Robert McKay, NYU Law's dean from 1967 to 75, chaired the New York State Special Commission on Attica. Meanwhile, several alumni represented Attica inmates in the criminal proceedings and the other litigation that followed. Okay, so Daniel Alterman recalls being one of the first lawyers permitted to enter Attica on September 17th through his involvement with the National Lawyers Guild. Officials had refused to allow anyone inside for days. So Alterman, acting as an interviewer and observer, found prisoners with bleeding wounds who were not receiving medical attention. Yeah. Like
don't you guys remember what we just did this for?
Right.
Like, you guys remember like a couple hours ago, a couple days ago?
Yeah.
That whole thing,
And like, I just need a Band-Aid. Can someone give me a Band-Aid? That'd be great.
Kind of exactly what we were talking about.
Quote, it was a pretty heavy scene, he says, adding that meanwhile, the state was lying about how the victims had died. Because initially they came out and said that it was, they had their throats slit. And in reality, well, it was the troopers or whoever that was shooting at them. So Legal Aid Society lawyer Phyllis Skloot Bamberger. That is a name, folks.
Yeah, it is.
Phyllis Skloot Bamberger. And that sounds like a really bad WWE character. Yeah. Well, and another colleague persuaded a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit to order an immediate halt to the severe abuse guards were inflicting on inmates in the wake of the uprising. Like,
yeah,
they're still doing it. It's still happening.
Yep.
So Martin Stoller, it says Martin Stoller, 68, I don't know, coordinated the recruitment of lawyers under NLG's auspices to offer legal services to the Attica inmates. After dozens of inmates were indicted in connection with the uprising, Stoller helped organize lawyers nationwide to represent them and took on one case himself, making a successful motion to dismiss in the interest of justice. Alterman recalls defending an Attica inmate in 1975 in a kidnapping case that his former boss from South Brooklyn Legal Services, where Alterman had worked as a Reginald Heber Smith Community Lawyer Fellow, holy shit, asked him to take over. Okay, so basically he was working on a case that somebody else told him to take over.
Right.
It was Alterman's first criminal trial. Quote, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. That is amazing. He says, but the 3-month trial ended in an acquittal. Okay. So Stoller worked with other attorneys to draft a civil complaint against Rockefeller and that's the governor, and other officials involved with the Attica response. They filed a class action in 1974. The matter would not be resolved for decades. Like, this was a legal dispute forever. In 2000, the year 2000, Judge Michael Teleska of the U.S. District Court of the Western District of New York divided an $8 million settlement among more than 500 former inmates and their relatives. So, the reason they say and their relatives is because, think about this. In the 70s, this took place. This was 2000. I'm going to say that at least a quarter of these guys are no longer living at this point in time.
Probably a decent amount of them, yeah.
Right. So then it gets transferred to, but I mean, what is hold on. Can I do quick math real fast?
Sure.
What is 8 million divided by 500?
Divided by 500?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I don't know, dude.
Yeah. It's not a lot. I'm just saying it's not a lot for your relative to go through something like that. So, quote, I thought I knew about racism and racism in the criminal justice system and racism in our society, Stoller says. Quote, I had a whole new lesson learned in the Attica experience. Both Alterman and Stoller praised the efforts of the late civil rights activist Haywood Burns, an adjunct professor who eventually joined the NYU law faculty. After Attica, Burns served as the national coordinator of the inmates' legal defense. Burns was, quote, brilliant, Alterman remembers, for allowing the defendants to help define the political issues around the prison conditions and killings at Attica. A year after the uprising, in September of 1972, the commission chaired by McKay released a 500-page report that was highly critical of both Rockefeller and state prison authorities. The report's preface stressed that the conditions leading to the Attica uprising were hardly unique to the penal institution. Okay, because this was going on everywhere. This is why, people were revolting in other institutions. Like, this is just something that just happened, and it still kind of does too, man.
Right.
It's fucked up.
You don't hear about it as much anymore. But.
Right. So, quote, in capturing that moment, we have examined state rules and procedures, prison politics, the changing nature of the inmate population, and festering racism, a dangerously volatile mix. That the explosion occurred first at Attica was probably chance, but the elements for replication are all around us. Attica is every prison, and every prison is Attica. Yeah, absolutely. Like, if every prison is treating their inmates like this, then this is going to happen everywhere.
Yes. Yep.
So now this information is just some of the many recountings of the incident from many people that were there and participated and were involved in some way. This is by no means a comprehensive look into all the events that transpired at Attica. I mean, it's a podcast that we're doing one episode on, and truthfully, this could probably be in its own podcast, So,
yeah, absolutely.
But it's a start for those that are interested in learning more. There are several great documentaries, and I've seen a ton of them, and they're great. And a ton of articles and TV shows dedicated to the incident. I
thought it was cool looking at it from the perspective of both sides too, which is why I kind of did what I did instead of just the usual, like, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you got to see. I loved that.
I liked hearing it from both sides because it's crazy how different, the inmates looked at it from, the way that this dude looked at it from the outside,
Which the craziest part about that, passengers, is just think about this. The position of the inmate was more realistic than that of the politician that was telling his side of the story.
Yes.
Seemed
that way for sure.
Yeah, it seems that's odd, right? Not really. I know it's not. I'm just being sarcastic. Anyway. So, I mean, yeah, for real, like it's a crazy incident that it talks about the racial tensions of the time, as well as the overall way that prisons and prisoners are handled to this day in so many different places, not just our country, but other countries as well.
Yeah.
And we, if you guys want to learn more, dive into it, man. It's a crazy, crazy story, and it's deep. It goes real freaking deep. So now some quick hitters here about some other notorious prison riots for you. We have the Carandiru massacre. Okay,
sure, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That happened on October 2nd of 1992, so not too long ago. It was a result of a prison riot which broke out at a Carandiru penitentiary in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Military police were called upon to claim the riot, which led to the death of 111 people. Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Out of the 111 prisoners who died, 102 were shot dead by the police. That's not good. The police were accused of a violation of human rights since they even shot at prisoners who had surrendered. Oh my God. What the fuck?
I give up. No, you don't.
But he got his hands up. No, I give up. He's got a gun. No. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So Colonel Ibiratan Guimarães, I think I got that, who headed the operation, was accused of providing poor leadership. He was sentenced to, but dude, he was sentenced to 632 years of imprisonment.
Whoa. Wow, so they actually held their cops accountable, huh?
But the conviction was later declared void by Sao Paulo court.
Oh, of course it was.
Yeah. Hence, the killers of the 102 inmates were never brought to justice. Oh, and all of this because it's of a soccer game in the yard. That's how this whole thing started.
Yep.
Yeah, that's super fucked.
Inmates started arguing over a fucking soccer game, and then it turned into this
just escalated
riot.
They really do like their soccer over there. I'm not gonna lie.
They do.
Their football. Sorry, football.
The football.
Football. Next is El Porvenir. Sure.
It's El Pollo Loco.
No, that's not. It's not El Pollo Loco. No,
it's not El Pollo Loco?
El Porvenir. El Porvenir. Yeah.
Are you sure it's not El Pollo Loco?
It's not El Pollo Loco, I promise. Yeah. That would be the crazy chicken, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. That'd be a strange name for a prison.
It's a restaurant, dude.
I know, but it'd be a strange name for a prison. Is what I'm saying.
Wouldn't it? It makes sense, dude.
The crazy chicken makes sense for a prison?
For a prison, yeah.
Okay, explain.
I mean, they're all crazy motherfuckers in there.
Really?
Are they not?
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
They're all herded like chickens? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So it's located in, CEIBA. Chiba.
I don't know.
Okay. Close to the Caribbean coast in Honduras. The prison is used to hold suspects of weapons, drugs, rape, and assault charges as they wait trial. So it's a holding place. The El Porvenir prison riot occurred in April 6th of 2003. The riot started when a fight erupted between the, these words, Mera Salvatrucha and the LA-18 gang members. Oh, yikes. Is that like the M13 guys?
I don't know.
Oh. Anyway, gang guys, the riot involved the gang members setting mattresses in the cells on fire. The fire caused the death of 86 inmates, many injuries, as well as the escape of several prisoners from prison. It took police officers, firefighters, and prison guards 3 hours to contain the situation. 86 fucking people. And then some dudes were just like, boop, boop, just walking out.
Those were the fucking smart guys.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Like they're standing there looking around, like you could just see it too. Like everything's going down, and like the one dude just standing there, and he looks over his buddies, like, "Hey, like why don't we just fucking leave?"
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, do you really want to do this? I mean, not really.
Let's just get the fuck out of here, dude.
They're not even paying attention. Wait,
look, there's a door. It's wide open right there.
Yeah, the door is wide open, dude.
Let's fucking go.
All right, you go first. Oh, okay. Just fucking gone. Just gone. See, to me, that's the smart move. So,
hell yeah, it is.
Next one is these words. Ciudad Juarez riots.
Yeah.
Okay. Feel like that's close to right. The 2-hour-long prison riot took place on March 4th of 2009 in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. The Ciudad, and I'm probably pronouncing that way wrong, and I apologize. The The prison here, a riot took place at the Cerezo State Prison, claiming the lives of 20 people. It broke out when several rival gangs, namely Los Mexicals. Is it that looks like testicles. Los Mexicals? Hey, listen, I don't know anything. I'm just saying that's what it looks like.
Okay.
The Aristas Asesinos and Barrio Azteca. These gang members got into a fight. The attackers used rifles, iron pins, and knives to attack each other. How the fuck did they get fucking rifles?
I was just wondering the same thing.
Like knives, I get. They're shivs. You can make those in prison. But you can't. Can you make a fucking rifle in prison? You know what I mean?
Probably not there.
Like the bullets are made out of soap. I don't know. Like,
although it was in Juarez, so there's probably a lot of drug dealers, a lot of connections inside of prisons. They can probably get whatever the fuck they want there.
That is crazy. It took a minimum of 50 members of the Mexican army, 200 police, an airplane, and 2 helicopters to quell the riots in this prison. I can't even say that name. So
what the fuck was the airplane doing?
They're like, hey, up there, you guys ever heard of Nagasaki? Watch the fuck out. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Like,
maybe.
For real. Like, what the? It's just like flying around?
Just
like
flying around. Yeah.
How the hell's he helping?
Yeah. And then lastly is the Kinger Uprising. The Soviet Union during the reign of Joseph Stalin, that sumbitch, was a hotbed for atrocious human rights violations and civil unrest. Popular breeding grounds for both were the gulags, forced labor prisons which housed whatever groups Stalin's administration disliked most at the time, because Stalin was a dick. Many gulags were the site of prisoner rebellions, the most significant of which was the Kinger Uprising. After years of abuse and indiscriminate murder by guards, as well as a series of unsuccessful strikes by the prisoners, well, the prisoners of Kinger, both criminals and political prisoners alike, armed themselves and seized the entire compound. For 40 days, prisoners had complete control of Kinger. 40 days, holy shit, and turned it into a relative paradise. They joined the men's and women's compounds, leading to in-prison marriages. That's pretty amazing, I'm not going to lie. They opened little businesses, formed their own government, and even staged plays for their fellow prisoners. That is fucking amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
But as with most of these, there was not a happy ending. After 40 days of freedom within the camp walls, intermittent negotiation, and mutual preparation for violent conflict, the rebellion was suppressed by Soviet armed forces with tanks and guns on the morning of June 26th. According to former prisoners, 500 to 700 people were killed or wounded by the suppression. Although official figures claim only a few dozen had been killed.
That's a bit of a difference.
That's a huge difference there, guys. Like, I mean, I could see if it was like, oh yeah, well, we say it's only 50 and we said it's 100, but you're saying 500 to 700 and they're saying a few dozen.
Yeah.
Either way, how amazing is that they actually took over the entire prison and like made it their own utopia. Right. Like, we're going to start businesses.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Going to have a nail salon over here.
I mean, at that point, why the fuck not, right?
Yeah, I mean, fuck it. Yeah, I mean, who knows when's going to end? Let's go for it. That's fucking insane to me. So yeah, that's crazy. And again, if you want to dive into Attica further, we really recommend you doing that because it's fucked up. It is super fucked up. So if you haven't heard of the story,
a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah. If you haven't heard of the story, hopefully we did it justice in here. And I know we don't have a lot of time to do that, to, fully do it. But yeah, you guys get into it and check it out. But in the meantime, it's time for Moody's favorite part of the entire show.
Yeah.
Not the end. It's the movies.
And now, boys and girls, it's your favorite part of the show, the movie review. Which top 10 movies will make the cut?
Ta-da! So obviously there probably isn't a lot of, horror prison movies. So, typically we try to do horror movies at the end of the episode or whatnot. But so we're just going to talk about the 10 best prison movies of all time, according to IMDb. That would be IMDb if you're new here. Yeah. So first up on the list here is, Escape from Alcatraz.
Yes.
Is this a young De Niro in this?
No.
Oh no! It's freaking Clint Eastwood. Yeah. right?
Okay, you're right. Yep.
It doesn't say. All it says is, it does. Okay, hold on. It says Alcatraz is one of the most famous prisons in the world. It sits off the coast of San Francisco, and today it serves as a tourist attraction and museum. It served as a prison from the 1930s to the 1960s and is full of interesting stories. One such story inspired many films, such as this one, an unsolved mystery to this day about how 3 prisoners escaped this island prison. This movie tells its version of how the 3 prisoners escaped. It was named one of the best films of its time and films the famous actor Clint Eastwood. You feel lucky, punk? Do you?
I know what you're thinking. He fires 6 shots.
I love Clint Eastwood. His son's a horrible actor, by the way. Yeah, hopefully he might get better, but his son's a horrible actor.
I don't know if I've even seen him in anything.
I do have that on the list. Alcatraz and the Escape from Alcatraz, the actual escape. I have that on our list for upcoming episodes because it's insane. It's absolutely insane because there's some guys that just, they think actually got off the island and they made it. So I really want to do that one at some point in time. Next one is
for the Alcatraz one.
Yeah.
I have that. Yeah, I had. I was thinking about that. I, for some reason, thought we already did something about Alcatraz though.
Wait, did we? Did we do Alcatraz already?
I don't know. I think you might have done a bonus. I don't know though. We'll have to check.
I don't even know. I mean, dude, we're pushing up on like 300 episodes, so I honestly have no idea. Maybe you know what? Maybe we did. Hey, folks out there, do me a favor. I'm not even going to look. Just tell us. Did we do Alcatraz yet? That's how we're going to do things from here on out. We're going to let them tell us if we're idiots because,
don't leave it to them. Of course, we're idiots. Damn, dude.
Next is Birdman of Alcatraz from 1962. Alcatraz is so famous that there was more than one film about the prison that sits as one of the best prison films out there. It tells a fictionalized life of the inmate Robert Franklin Stroud. He was nicknamed the Birdman of Alcatraz because he raised and took care of some injured sparrows he found in the prison yard. He even wrote a book called Diseases of Canaries. Not all prison movies capture the oppressive feeling of incarceration, but this one does. Like prison time itself, the pace is slow. All right, I'm going to say right now, I haven't seen this entire list, but I'm going to say The Green Mile's got to be like number 1, right?
I don't remember, honestly.
All right.
What was it? Wait, so the last one was what?
Last one was a Birdman of Alcatraz.
Birdman of Alcatraz, okay.
Yeah. Next up is Papillon from 1973. This historical drama prison film tells the story of 2 men who were trying to escape imprisonment in French Guyana. At the time it was made, it was quite expensive to film due to its remote locations. However, the film was so loved and popular that it got over twice its budget back. All right. Like many popular prison films, the feeling of despair, hopelessness, and brutality of imprisonment is deeply captured. It shows the indomitably, wow, who says that word? Indomitably, I can't say it. Indomitably. I said it the first time right. Of the human spirit in a way that gets audiences at the edge of their seats, clinging to a little hope, just like the characters in the movie do. So it's what's his name? Hoffman. Is it Dustin Hoffman?
Yes.
Yeah, it's him. He's in this. Yeah, I don't know. He's in it. Next is 12 Monkeys. I actually walked out of the theater with my buddy Nate.
Really?
Yeah, because I hated it so much.
I love 12 Monkeys.
Oh man, dude. Like we got done watching this and I wanted to fist fight somebody. Yeah, and so did he. We were both pissed off. We were like,
have you gone back to try to watch it?
I have watched it since then and I'm like, okay, I get it now. But I was young when it came out because it came out in 95. What was I? I was
15, so you were
18? Yeah, I was 18.
Chainsaw was 73
and a half. And a half, yeah. Yeah. So if you haven't seen 12
Monkeys,
I don't know.
I really enjoyed 12 Monkeys. I thought
it's weird as shit. Brad Pitt in it is freaking amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. Awesome. So 12 Monkeys is quite different from other prison movies as it is also part of the science fiction genre. Prison itself is not quite the focus either. However, all the elements that happen occur because the protagonist is incarcerated. As a prisoner in the future, he is experimented on and had to time travel to find a cure for a virus that killed most of humanity. The movie gets its audience to really question what is and isn't real. Yeah, that was my problem. I was like, what the fuck is happening? For example, you may end up asking, quote, is this man really from the future? I don't know. I was just like, I don't understand what's happening. Maybe that was my negligence. I was just like, I don't get what's happening. So yeah. Next up is In the Name of the Father from 1993. No idea what this is. It's Butcher Bill though. He's the main, at least the picture that I see.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Bill the Butcher Bill from why can't I think of the movie? The New York one where they would get Gangs of New York. Duh, there it is. Bill the Butcher.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
So this movie is based on the true story.
I can't think of his name now either.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's not Daniel Day-Lewis that's in that. Forget everything I just said up until this point. Damn it. So the movie is based on the true story of the Guilford four innocent people that were convicted of the 1974 Guilford pub bombings, which killed 5 people.
Now I'm confused. What the fuck movie are we talking about?
In the Name of the Father from 1993. Yeah. Which killed 5 people. The story is pretty heartbreaking, and it has that extra spice of being based on real events. Of course, like any movies that try to tell a story from reality, there are some facts that were left out. Despite that, though, it serves its main purpose as an amazing movie about injustice. Okay. Next up is Cool Hand Luke. I've never seen this, but I've heard like such huge things about this movie.
So that is Daniel Day-Lewis in the Name of the Father.
But is he Bill the Butcher?
I think that was I get all these assholes mixed up, dude. Let me see. He was also Lincoln.
So I think it is. I think that is right. Come on.
I think so too. But
come on, ice cream.
Yeah, Gangs of New York.
Yeah, woo! So forget everything I said. Okay.
Was that motherfucker? Was that dude really?
Yeah, Bill the Butcher. Yeah, he's a badass in that movie. Fuck. So,
I know.
Cool Hand Luke is from what I hear,
right.
Everyone loves this movie.
Blood.
Yeah.
Do you see? I get him mixed up with somebody else, and I can't think of who I get him mixed up with for some reason.
So even those who have never seen this movie, like myself, have likely heard of it since it's known as a classic.
What movie?
Cool Hand Luke. Based on a novel of the same name, the story follows a rebellious prisoner in a Florida prison camp in the 1950s. The movie is rich in themes and symbolism with its Christian imagery and use of signs. In terms of awards, the movie won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor and a Laurel Award for Top Male Supporting Performance. It is also included in the National Film Preservation Board. With such a legacy, it's no wonder it has such a high score on IMDb and 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's the dude that does the dressing. What's his name?
Paul Newman.
Paul Newman. That's who's in it. Yeah.
The dude that does the dressing.
Yeah. I mean, you knew who I was talking about. Yeah.
I did. You're right.
Yeah.
He also has popcorn.
He does have popcorn. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So next one is The Great Escape from 1963. And I'm pretty sure that's Paul Newman as well. No, it's not Paul. No, it's not. Sorry, I'm just looking at a picture. Based on Paul Brickhill's 1950 nonfiction book of the same name, this story takes place in a World War II prison. While the book is a first-hand account of the escape of British prisoners of war from Germany in 1944, the movie is quite fictionalized. For example, the movie included Americans among the escapees when in reality it was all British.
The Great Escape. Steve McQueen, James Garner, Charles Bronson.
Oh, shit.
Richard Attenborough, James Coburn, Donald Pleasance.
Wait a minute. Isn't that like, what was that movie back in the day? The
Jesus Christ.
Is it the Magnificent Seven or whatever it was called? Way back in the day? Isn't that the same guys? We're idiots, folks, if you haven't noticed this. Like
that's a fucking star-studded, like for the time.
Yeah.
That is an amazing cast.
All right, next up is a movie I know you've seen. American History X, 1998.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing movie. Super messed up.
Fucking brutal, dude.
Yep. Well, this movie doesn't primarily take place in prison. The story is a result of incarceration. The film stars two brothers who were involved in neo-Nazi and white supremacist movements. After one gets arrested and comes back reformed, he seeks to save his brother from further indoctrination from these toxic groups. This film is not only incredibly famous, but has been used for educational purposes across the United States, which is crazy because that curb stomping scene
Oh my god,
Dude.
that's the scene right there.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, it's so brutal. Let's see. Next up. Oh, guess what? It's The Green Mile.
There you go.
1999. Love this movie based on Stephen King's novel of the same name. This is a prison movie that dips into the supernatural. The story stars a death row corrections officer in the Great Depression who witnesses supernatural events after a certain inmate is brought to his facility. The movie won awards. Huh?
Is it John
Coffey. John Coffey, yeah.
I said Paul Coffey. That's a hockey player.
The movie won awards for its music, actors, and a People's Choice Award for its best all-around motion picture. It's a fantastic movie.
It's great. So I will full disclosure, one of the few movies that have made me like tear up, dude, was The Green Mile.
Oh, it's
when I read the book when I was younger, it was I'll never forget it because it came out. I had to have been like maybe 16, 17 when it came out, but he released it in like 7 or 8 parts.
Oh,
and
shit.
Like a new book would come out like every month.
Oh, okay.
So you'd have to like every month, like a new part would come. And I remember reading it every month. I'd go get the next one. And
was it a book or like a comic book?
It was just a novel, but he just released it in like little parts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was like an 8-part novel, but he released each part every month.
Wow.
And I remember reading the book, the end of the book, and just being like sitting there and like I remember reading it, just being like, this is the saddest fucking thing I've ever read in my life. Like, what the fuck,
it's
dude?
Super, super fucked up. Super fucked up. And just it's sad because you literally the character development of John Coffey specifically, but like so Tom Hanks' character in the movie, I can't remember what his name is in the movie, but his character getting so close to John Coffey and then, you know, realizing that he was, first of all, not supposed to be there in prison.
Well, Coffey also saves his wife.
Correct. Yeah. So it's and the governor's wife.
Yeah.
Like it's, if you guys haven't seen the movie, we probably ruined a lot of shit for you, but you know what? It's been out since 1999. Go fuck yourself. Like it's, and if you haven't seen, especially The Green Mile, for real, like you guys like do better and
do better. Not
seeing that movie is like not seeing number 1 on our list, and that is The Shawshank Redemption. Okay. If you haven't seen The Shawshank Redemption, we've got issues. Okay. And I know we're probably going to get all kinds of people going, dude, I've never seen that movie. Sit down, give yourself 2 hours and just watch it. That and The Green Mile. So 4 hours altogether. Maybe they're Stephen King stuff. So maybe like, I don't know, 6 hours total. But give yourself some time, watch the movies. They are fantastic. Just they're works of art. They're amazing. Yeah. So Shawshank Redemption, of course, hopefully you guys know this one. Based on another Stephen King book, this movie is loved enough that some would argue it is one of the best movies of all, not just prison movies, but of all time. Okay.
The funny thing is that movie got, when it first came out, man, it was a fucking flop in the box office.
Was it really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a flop.
Even though it had Morgan Freeman in it.
Yeah, it was a huge flop.
Andy Dufresne, which we actually said earlier. That's so funny. Yes. So it's fantastic. So the story follows Andy Dufresne after he is convicted of murdering his wife and her lover. When film buffs think of the prison genre, it is this movie that often comes to their minds before anything else. So due to its impact and cultural significances, the movie has been selected by the United States Library of Congress to be put in the National Film Registry. That's amazing.
Yeah.
In a 2016 interview, Stephen King, even mentioned that The Shawshank Redemption was his favorite adaptation of his work along next to, what other movie do you think that he puts up there, like film adaptation of one of his books as his favorite?
Ooh.
And from Stephen King himself.
I know he hated The Shining.
And he wasn't a fan of The Stand.
I don't know. Maybe like Carrie or something.
Nope. It was Stand By Me.
Oh, that's
Stand.
So that okay. Me. So interestingly enough, I have that book here. Stand By Me, The Shawshank Redemption, and there was another movie made called Apt Pupil.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of those came from the same book.
Really?
Yeah, it's called like different seasons. So there's 4 stories, 3 of them have been made into movies.
Yeah, I've seen Apt Pupil. I'm trying to think. It's not Denzel in that, is it? No.
No, I don't remember who was in it, but that was like the kid who like befriends that like weird Nazi, old Nazi dude.
Oh no, that was the Terminator 2 dude, the kid in that. Why can't I think of his fucking name?
Ed Furlong?
Edward Furlong, and the guy that was oh my god, I know folks, everyone's freaking out right now. The guy that plays Gandalf was the Nazi.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yes,
movie, man.
absolutely, dude. Because he befriends the guy, and he's going over there, and all of a sudden he's seeing all this Nazi memorabilia, and then like, you know, he's trying to get him in the basement because he's trying to get him busted because the guy should be popped for war crimes because he was actually a Nazi.
It was not the dude from Terminator, though.
It's not Edward Furlong?
No, it's Brad Renfro.
Brad Renfro, same person.
And
except
then, yes,
Brad Renfro's dead.
Sir Ian McKellen.
Yes.
Was the guy.
Great movie. That was a great movie, dude.
David Schwimmer was in that movie.
Ross from Friends was in that?
Yes. Yes, he was.
Pivot. Anyway, those are your movies right there. If you have not seen at least The Shawshank Redemption.
Dude, there's a lot of good movies.
A lot of great movies. I honestly think I might actually sit down and watch some of those older ones because I've never seen them. So I should watch those.
I've seen The Great Escape, like bits and pieces of it. Like I remember like seeing part of it at like my grandpa's house or something at one point. But like it was pretty good if I remember correctly. Like from what I've seen, I thought it was pretty solid. So
listen, Shawshank is literally in my top, I'd say 5. For real, of all movies, and I'm a cinephile. Good, you know what I mean? Like I love movies. I've watched. I couldn't even tell you. I love that movie. Absolutely love it. It
is, and it like having read the story of it, like it is a very, it's a very faithful adaptation. Like,
really, everything
that's in the story is in the movie. Like, and it's really well done. That and the Green Mile both. Like the Green Mile, the same thing. Like that is. Of like a great adaptation of the work. Like,
no, listen, Green Mile definitely is sad, but there's also parts in Shawshank too where you're watching it and you're just like, fuck.
oh yeah,
yeah. Like there's a lot of parts in that, and that's one thing Stephen King could do is he could add this sense of disparity and really bring out the characters like you feel for them. You feel for the characters in that, you know, which by the way, I did hear that they're making a remake of Christine.
I heard that as well,
which was probably one of my favorite movies, a Stephen King movie of all time, other than like, you know, the ones we just discussed. I gotta say, that like movie.
The book was, I found the book boring and tedious. I couldn't get through it. I don't know why.
You've seen the movie though, right? The original?
I've seen the old one, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the movie's not bad. Like I can deal with like for some reason like I just cannot like I couldn't get through that. Like I read the whole book and I was like that I don't know. It's just like
it's great. It's a car that is possessed and comes alive and kills everybody. I mean, it's amazing. And then you have Cujo. Cujo's great. We can go on and on. We can actually have an entire just bantering episode of just like Stephen King movies. You know what I mean? Like
I got a whole fucking bookshelf full of Stephen King books.
There you go. So hopefully, listen, guys, hopefully we did Attica justice here. It's a super, super fucked up time in our history, America's history, as far as, especially from like, you know, prisons, the aspect of prisons and how we treat them. So hopefully you guys dug it and you guys go do some research. It goes way deeper than what we could touch on. It's super messed up. And hopefully it's getting better, you know, in there. I know it really isn't because I've seen shit. We all have. But in the meantime, do us a favor. Make sure to stop over to our official website, the midnighttrainpodcast.com. At our website, you can buy some super sweet merchandise.
Super sweet.
Where you can find our Duke or Finger Bum shirt. The ever popular Don't Be a DeSalvo shirt.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
The Switchblade wielding Jersey Raccoon t-shirt.
Nice.
Hats, phone cases, and the upcoming t-shirt. That's, what is it, Moody?
We didn't say when.
We didn't say when. That's coming up very soon. So if you've liked what you heard from us, consider being a show producer by heading to the midnighttrainpodcast.com and clicking on the Patreon button, or head on over to patreon.com/the Midnight Train Podcast. For as little as $5 a month, you can get all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can sign up for higher tiers and get custom shirts, posters, stickers, You get all the bonus episodes, even at the $5 level.
That's right, baby.
And way more. Okay.
And you're feeding my children.
Correct. And you're helping to feed Moody's children. So that's a good thing. And if you're a diehard Midnight Train fan, which I hope you are, and want to help produce this motherfucker, well, Patreon, get over there, sign up, be cool. It's $5. It's like a cup of coffee for most of you guys. You know what I mean? Like, most importantly, do me a favor. If you can't do that, and listen, I know money's tight. I get it. Trust me.
Yeah,
and if you can't afford to do it, and listen, no hard feelings. Just do us a favor and tell people about the show.
Spread the word.
That's it. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell grandma that she needs to listen to the show.
The bird is no longer the word. The Midnight Train is the word.
Sorry. So anyway, word of mouth is how we will get passengers on the train and continue to bring weekly episodes to you. And we're trying our asses off to get on fucking schedule here. And we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out someday.
Look, honestly, you know what? If you guys are pissed off about it, fuck off.
Yeah, truthfully, okay. It's free. It's free.
Just be happy you're getting anything.
Yeah,
at this
it's
point.
free.
Jesus
it's free.
Christ.
Now the bonus stuff, that is where it's all at, and we're going to make sure you guys getting all the content because you're paying for that. You're giving us your hard-earned money, and we couldn't appreciate you more for that.
Maybe we should just put the whole thing behind a paywall, huh?
We should. What do you think about that?
We'd probably have even less people. Like our Patreon would go down somehow.
So listen, don't forget to follow us on all the socials, on the Twitters, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTubes, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you rate us over there. I guess Google Podcasts are going away, so they're no longer doing that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. It's called something, and I don't remember what the hell it's called. I think it's Google Podcasts, to be honest. Anyway, in order to listen to podcasts through like Google or whatever, well, they own YouTube, so you have to listen to your podcast on YouTube now. Lucky for us,
we're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube. So there you go. So do me a favor, check out the other podcast, Generation AFK, where some friends try to teach me about modern gaming, and it's pretty sad, but it's funny. It is funny. So be the judge for yourself and find the Generation AFK podcast wherever you listen. Okay. And listen, honestly, we can't thank you guys enough for just allowing us to enter your ear holes. It's amazing to us.
I mean, we could.
Okay, we thank you even more. Is that better? I don't know. But seriously, you guys, just even listening to the show, it's just remarkable. Seeing the numbers staying consistent it's a beautiful thing. And we love you guys. Now, of course, let's keep going. Let's keep moving. Let's keep pushing it forward. Tell people. Let's make the Midnight Train the biggest thing since sliced bread.
Wow, that's a feat.
That's a big thing because we all like sliced bread.
I mean, I could take it or leave it.
I mean, I actually kind of like cut my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because like a good
nice
loaf,
fresh loaf.
Yeah, like a good loaf of like an Italian or ciabatta or something like that, and just a nice Italian. Anyway,
good sourdough is always nice.
French baguette, something like that. Yeah, those are.
You know what I like to do with the loaf is I like to pinch it.
Anyway, a very special thank you to our fearless executive producer, Patreon first class passengers. You know you're fucking poopers. Do we
know for a fact that they're fearless?
Well, they listen to our show.
But I feel like they're afraid of something. Everyone's afraid of something.
Well, they're not. Well, I mean, maybe we don't know what they are. They're fear. Let us know what your fears are. I would like to know that.
What's your biggest fear?
Mine?
Yeah.
I was going to make a joke, but truthfully, biggest fear is leaving this earth before I make sure my kids are taken care of.
Okay.
That was a bummer of a fucking response at the end of this fucking thing.
No, it makes total sense.
But that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is that like I'm going to just fucking kick off and not have my affairs in order and my kids be like not taken care of. That's my biggest fear.
Well, I mean, I'll never have my affairs in order, so I'm not worried about that.
But so what's your biggest fear then?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good one. I wouldn't really say I have many fears. The one of my big things, and I can't remember the name for it, but there is a name for it, is like it's basically like not like a fear of the ocean per se, but like it's how like you can't see like under the water and it's just like vast emptiness. And it creeps me the fuck out, dude.
So not the ocean per se, just the inability to be able to see what's underneath.
Right. And it's like it goes with like lakes and shit like that too. And I can't think of the fucking name of it off the top of my head. There is a name for the fear. Fucking can't think of what it is, man. Wait, this might be it. Thalassophobia.
Oh, of course they have a term for that.
It's the fear of dark water. It's a persistent fear of large, deep, and often dark bodies of water that feel dangerous.
So are you afraid of? Are you afraid of poo water?
What of what?
Poo water.
Poo water?
Poo water.
Like shit water?
Yeah.
I mean, I would
dark.
never be around shit water, I guess. But
it's dark and you can't see what's in there.
no, like I'm not afraid. Like I'll go on the ocean. I'll go swimming in the ocean and shit. But like, there's there's always like that. Like there's a point where I'm just like, man, you know what? I'm gonna get out of here.
So we want to know
a boat. Like I'll go on a boat. I don't care,
like
but like,
boats,
it's
dude.
just
We've
like,
discussed this.
Look out into that water. You're just like, dude, what the fuck is down there? We don't know.
We don't know
what's down there.
I'm telling you, that's where everyone talks about. Okay, and we'll cut this off real fast. But everyone talks about aliens coming from like outer space. They're going to come from underneath us, dude. They're coming from the ocean.
Fucking right, dude.
For sure. I mean, if you look at octopi and squids and how smart those motherfuckers are, and those are the ones we see, there's shit down there that is they're going to get us. They're going to get us. I'm telling you. That's why I don't go in the water. I'm not going in the water. I don't even like taking showers, motherfucker. You know what I mean? So just saying.
Yeah, we know. Trust me.
Yeah. Sorry, you can smell me through the thing.
Stinky motherfucker, dude.
Anyway, to our amazing poopers. That's right.
What are you guys afraid of? That's what we want.
Yeah, we want to know what you guys are afraid of. What are your fears? Yeah.
We won't use them against you. I promise.
You can't make that promise.
Good man, my fingers are crossed.
To Timothy Moore, Jacob Knoll, Ms. P, Cassandra Fuentes, Jacob Peters, Stoner Babe 69, Tim Karras, Zoe Miller, Tracy Valancourt, Edgar Rodriguez, Jenny Wynn, Riley with no last name, Chris Connors, Amanda C, Micah Purdue, Dale Wells, George DeJesus, Megan McTerry, Amanda Denz, Chris Lucas, Joseph Aramo, Nathan Diekman, Caitlin McKinney, Maggie Brothers, Rick Resler, Miles Campbell, Brian Gunsman, Pumpkin Escobar, Mac Doherty, Janet Sherrill, Chad Flint, Chris McLeod, Justin Kowalczyk, Christina from the Sister Skeleton podcast, we miss you, Maria Gibbs, to Chainsaw.
What the fuck?
Courtney Batchelor, Katie Brabenek, and of course our boy Bill Birch.
Oh, good for you.
Do me a favor, spread the word, okay? And if you want your name to be mentioned on the show, just, and for us to be forever grateful, just sign up and become a Patreon producer. You know what? I just downplayed that. Just sign up. No, it's a big deal. It's your money. You work hard for it. If you even...
She works hard for the money.
So hard for it, honey. She was hard for the money, so you better treat her right. Damn it. You know what that does to me. Anyway, it's your hard-earned money, and the fact that these people like give it to us is crazy to me. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it baffles me all the time. So I'm not downplaying it. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for everything you do for us and for saying, hey, I like these guys enough to give them my coffee money for the month.
I don't even like us enough to give us money.
True that. So listen, stay safe out there, passengers. Dive into Attica. Yeah. We have a bonus episode that's going to be connected to this.
Not literally. Don't go to Attica.
No, don't do that. No. I don't think it's even, is it still around?
I believe, yeah, it is.
Holy shit. No, don't do that. Don't go there. Yeah.
No, you don't want to go there.
But dive into the story of it. And we have a bonus episode that's connected to this as well with some other really fucked up riots and shit. So make sure you guys are following that. And in the meantime, just stay safe. Be cool to each other. Don't go to prison. Then you don't have to deal with this shit.
Or not, whatever.
And as always, choo-choo, motherfuckers.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Yeah.
All right, you good?
Yeah, I was parched.
All right. I'm just going to backtrack and do that. So pause.
Yeah, bro.
Pause and me or you that made that noise?
that was me. Sorry.
All I heard was,
It was my
like,
fucking throat. I don't
you're
know
like, what the
was.
fuck was that?
Yeah,
All
that was
right.
good.
All right. And all right.
Self-leading, suffered, praying, soldiers sewn inside my eyes. Devastating, nothing's waiting. Pull the cord into the blind. Had a promise, there's no option. Infernal sunshine, spotless mind. Narcissistic, drunk, ballistic, never guilty. What's the time? Hey, little girl, do you know where you're going? Darkness falls for everyone. Demon, demon, demon. So impulsive yet compulsive, passive aggressive, oh so kind. Selfless baby, selfish shady, creating tools you can't